Welcome back. Welcome to English Bilingualism 101 with Dr. Verghese. I am Matthew Verghese. Today we continue the discussion which we left before 1 week ago about the language faculty, and this is one idea that captivated the language education or language understanding about language in the 20th century. Most of the scholars worked on this, philosophers who worked on this idea of language faculty, introduced by Ferdinand Saussure, and this idea is founded on, as I have been discussing last week, is founded on certain foundational principles that humans lose a particular faculty in the brain to process languages, and it is only that area is active when somebody uses a language. And Ferdinand Saussure says this in his 1910 publication, introduced the concept of language faculty, the functional aspect of logos. Actually, what is logos? Introduced by classical philosophers like Aristotle and Plato. He introduced this idea is as being distributed in the human body, not in the heart or not in any other area. It is in the brain. And that idea, according to him, he explained it as, in every individual there is a faculty which can be called the faculty of articulate language. This faculty is available to us in the first instance in the form of organs, and then by operation we can perform with these organs. But it is only a faculty, and it would be a material impossibility to utilize it in the absence of something else, a language, which is given to the individual from outside. It is necessary that the individual should be provided with this faculty, with what is called a language. So this is what Ferdinand Saussure says, that there is a faculty active in our brain, and that is called the faculty of articulate languages, or a language organ. And this language organ, as I've been explaining earlier in my discussion, it works like a organ in the body, like eye or hand. You know, if you have hand, and you can use hand in a minimum way, but if you want to use hand for typing a typewriter or a keyboard, you have to practice. Or if you want to play piano, you have to practice. Or if you want to play a guitar, you have to practice. Similarly, as we say, is that the knowledge of playing piano or typing a keyboard is a knowledge given from outside. So what he says, that the faculty of language needs a language, faculty of languages needs a language to develop, to become more creative, more active. So it means, in another way, you have to train this faculty of language with a language. In this case, English, actually. So when you train the faculty of language with a language like English, what you should do? How to work with the faculty of language with the language? In today's education system, we are taught grammar and grammatical rules before, And we are also taught, or we also teach the students vocabulary and grammar as tools for using the language. But that is not sufficient for one to use language, because, as I have been telling you, the language faculty has many variant applications. Like the hand has different applications. The basic application is to hold something, to make something, to eat food. But that is the basic. But if you want to use for writing, you have to practice. If you want to type, you have to practice. Similarly, if you want to use more languages, you have to practice with that language. And how to practice with that language? You need to communicate in that. That is what Saussure says, that you need a language to work with this faculty of languages. Unfortunately, our education system has become so succinct with teaching or inputting data, expecting that you can get the output clearly. But unfortunately, the human mind is not a computer. I have been explaining in the last lecture. It is not a computer. It cannot work like a computer. It has its own functional specifics. And we have to understand what kind of functionality happens in the brain while the brain processes two languages. That is the effort of this teaching method, English Bilingual project. How to train a learner's brain with a language, and what are the modalities that is required for training the language faculty with a language like English, and what has to be taken care of, because the languages varies in the structure. All languages don't follow same structure. There are so many structural specifics in the language. Unfortunately, today's teaching method is accepting that the mother tongue of the learner is the language of thought. I have discussed about that earlier. And that is a primary mistake, that if you take the mother tongue of the learner as the primary language of thought, then you have mistaken. The primary language of thought, as I said in the first lecture, it is mind language or mentalese. This is what Aristotle taught earlier, and he understood that humans produce speeches using a uniform function cutting across the human societies. He understood that every human being actually uses a same thought language. That is why we can communicate and understand each other. So it is not culturally bound, it is actually culturally determined. And the mental is actually working with that culturally determined structure of a language and imbibe those rules into its fold. And when they use the language later, unknowingly the brain works to help the speaker to use the specific, the grammatical specifics or the syntactical specific of the language. Unfortunately, we only teach rules, grammatical rules continuously. And we don't understand that the first thing that is to be taught to a non-native English learner is the syntax of the language. Syntax is how the sentences are constructed, how words and phrases are put together. And that knowledge, if the learner don't get from the teaching methods, The learner always search for uh, or the learner always search for the structure of the second language or English, and they fail to identify the structure. So that is one of the problem. We try to translate from our mother tongue to English, especially Asian languages follow SOV structure, while the English and German and all Germanic languages follow SVO structure. In fact, if you analyze the structure more closely, it is moving opposite direction. And that problem of structuring words and phrases in order is a big problem for English teachers and learners who are non-native learners from Asia, especially countries like India or Southeast Asian, East Asian countries and East Asian countries. The structural specifics are different, and that actually affect the communicability of the learner, and that is one of the thing which the language faculty could not be activated with the language with a different structure. Most of the Germans speak English, or the North Europeans speak English, because the structures are same. They use SVO structure. Here, SOV structure actually affect the communicability of the learner in a serious way. So what a teacher should do is to teach the syntax of the English language and teach it specifically, giving due emphasis to structure thoughts into simple sentences. I will give a detailed lecture on how to help people to think in English or follow the syntactical procedure of English and imbibe it or develop the skill of talking in English with the structure of English or the syntax of English. Actually, this idea has been introduced by Noam Chomsky in 1957, but Chomsky's work are mostly difficult to read and understand. And some people understood it. They implemented this kind of method in their class, especially the minimalist minimalism in grammatical rules actually helped many people to use this language much easily than others who learn the rules and struggle with the rules actually. So we have to instinctively develop an awareness about the structure while using this language. So the learning process is creating the awareness of the structure. And then in advanced stage, they have to learn the grammatical rules that is applicable, but it won't work well when somebody is taught to translate from mother tongue to the second language like English, from Japanese to English, and make them communicate in English, which is a very difficult task. Many people fail in that, and people don't know how to better their communication ability in this way. So I will stop here, and I wish this talk is useful for you, and if it is useful, please like it and share it and subscribe to this channel. uh, uh, we will discuss more about this teaching method. I switch over to Japanese. So, 今日の話は language faculty というの関係についてです。これ、フェルディナン・スーシュールというような、フランス人じゃないけど、スイス人の人の見つけです。彼は1910年で、この language faculty について紹介した。彼は昔のアリストテレスの考えであったロゴスをもっと増やしてこの人間の心の中、心じゃない脳の中一つ場所ある。場所はlanguage faculty というけども、これ私たちの体の一つ分ぐらいかかるというのことをやってる。大体特別で見たら手と思う。手使うは普通の場合で手使うできる。いろいろなこと仕事とかするために手使うできる。手は一番いい分と思う。それであなたたちタイピングするとかピアノ弾くとかギター弾くとかするときあなたに手特別に使わないといけない。そのぐらい言葉も同じです。あなたは別の言葉を学ぶときとかバイリングルになるときとかマルティリングルになるときとか私たちの language faculty を別に練習でもらわないといけない。これ練習するというのはこの方法というのは簡単じゃない。あれは私たちこのソーシュールの話の中見たら私たちこの言葉使ってlanguage faculty をもっと強くするだけ。このどうやってと言ったら日本語の順番をストラクチャーSOV というようなことで決まってる。それで英語と言ったら SVO というようなことで決まってる。これは私たちこの SVO の言葉どうやって順番するというようなことを別に習わないなら言葉使えるとき本当で大変になる。これは今日本だけじゃない世界中でノンネイティブの人たち英語を学ぶときあることです。これを私たち練習でどうやって練習するというようなことを私さっきビデオで教えてあげる。その練習することというのは一番大事です。この練習すると言ったら文法と単語を学ぶだけじゃない。どうせ単語をまとめて文章に作ってるというようなことが一番大事です。あれ言葉によっていっぱい被ることある。でもソーシュールもアリストテレスも考えたことは身体的な人間一つ言葉を使って会長やってる。これないなら人間と人間の間コミュニケーションできない。今の時代でもっとよく分かってる。どこでいる人間も私たちあそこの言葉ちょっと学んだらコミュニケーションできる。それで人間の間違うをもっと近くもらうできる。多分100年、200年前これできなかった。その時西洋人のアフリカの中に入ってアフリカの人別の何やれ人数と思った。これは違うことです。人間と同じですこれ。体と 色とか変わってるけども、人間というのは同じです。あれは多分この言葉のことを学んでからできたことです。Actually, the difference between humans are less, and it was understood only after finding this idea of language faculty, and people understood that, or scholars understood that we are not actually using different languages. We are using same language, same mind language, and it is cutting across all the entire humanity. We use only one language. And that idea we have to implement while teaching a new language. Okay? So this is what I want to say. We will continue this discussion. I will post more videos from next week onwards. I am planning to upload 20-25 videos on this topic, and I hope it will be useful for you. You can follow me if you find it interesting, and you like this video, share this video, and subscribe this video so that whenever I put a new video on this, and you could access to it easily. So that's it for today. Nice talking to you. See you next time.